This is the Frank Sinatra version. Here we all work along the Mississippi. Here we all work while the white folk play. Pulling them boats from the dawn till sunset. Get no rest till the judgment day. Don't look up and don't you look down, and don't dare make that boss man frown. Bend your knee, bow your head, and pull that rope until you're dead. Let me go away from the Mississippi. Let me go away from my man boss. Show me that stream called the River Jordan. That's the old stream that I long to cross. Old Man River, that old man River, he don't say nothing, but he must know something. He just keeps rolling. He keeps on rolling along. He don't plant taters, and he don't plant cotton, and them's that's plants 'em, they're soon forgotten. But old man River, he just keeps rolling along. You and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge and lift that bale. You get a little drunk and they put you in jail. I get weary and sick of trying. I'm tired of living and I'm tired of dying. And old man River, he just keeps rolling along. Dong. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you as well. All right, that was a lot of work for that, guys. And I screwed it up, and I even screwed up the last line. But, what do you want me to do, man? I got a noose around my neck. Hi, Holly. Hi, Kush. Shimley. All right. Now I'm kind of spent after all that. Okay. Thank you, Holly. Okay. Yeah, so that was my big production number. I just wanted to come on to say that I still believe Juicy. What? What? Cat Stewart, you better sing. It's all right. It's over. We're not going to sing anymore. I promise. No more singing. Okay? No more. What? I think he wants an encore. Calm down. You're going to hurt yourself, dude. Okay. Does anybody want to come on and talk? Because that's all I really have is the get up and the song. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link here. All right. Meanwhile, let's read the news. Just a moment. Yeah, I may just take this down. I'll go back and see if just how bad that looks. And then somebody's here already. One moment while I get on my headphones. Don't look up. I can't stop singing that now. Hi, Holly.
Hey. Well, that was pretty amazing and very unexpected. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to write me off after this, but that's probably a good thing.
I was not expecting that.
How are you?
I'm good. I just saw the title when I saw it in my those notifications that you're going to talk about Jussie Smollett. So I thought, I want to come on and talk about that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it.
You didn't know about this get up?
No, but it's pretty. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, that background picture. Yeah, that's pretty good. And the bleach. Yeah, and the banana. That's good.
In all the elements.
That's good. Got all your props. It's amazing.
I'm basically the Gallagher of live streaming at this
point. At this point. Yeah, well, that news story turned out how we expected it. I'm just wondering what the fallout's going to be in terms of people who always believe these stories. I wonder, I just would like to know, has anyone been changed by this who just really thinks that there's white men going around, all the time, harming Black people or people of color and gay people, because it's just not what's happening. That's not what's going on. We all know that because we're more in touch with that these are hate hoaxes, because we see it every day. But I just wonder, I hope that this wakes people up and then they start
dwellers.
Yeah, because it's like, how could you? I mean, I've noticed I don't really on Facebook. I'm not really Facebook friends with liberals anymore, so I don't really know what they're saying. But the couple that I can still see their pages publicly, they haven't mentioned it. It's just they're ghosting the whole thing. That's what I've seen. So
we got to not let them forget it. I think a few people are being shook. Did you see Alyssa Milano's tweet?
I didn't.
She's the actress, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't really work anymore as one of these actors who just know for being on Twitter now. Mm-hmm. But she had this desperate, I'm almost sympathetic toward her, this desperate tweet. No way he could actually have lied to us, guys. Oh, God. So you see the breaks occurring, the fissures are happening.
Well, yeah. And you notice too, the narrative is not, hey, he's now created probably a backlash against whites. He basically what he has done is perpetrated a hate crime that has caused probably, who knows how many white people have been attacked as revenge for this alleged thing. That's not the narrative. No, the narrative now is, now he's making it worse for all the poor Black people who are attacked by white men. And
we still get that.
Yeah, that's the narrative from the media and from the leftists, and it's like, no, that's the wrong take, guys.
Not the thing. Yeah, that is not the sin here. Not nearly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think it'll shake people. I mean, how much longer can they hold out with their delusion? Under these things. Of course, today I see there's some right-wing terrorists supposedly that they've arrested for threats. So it's always some doofus that's going to come around and mess it up and give them their little story, even if it's bogus.
Right. I just saw something on Twitter about that. I think I know what you're talking about. Some guy that was supposedly planning some, massive killing, but I can't believe anything anymore. We'll see when that comes out.
Yeah.
Like if there's anything to, I can't believe the media. I can't believe the police because, you just can't anymore. So we'll
I
see what
just wish
happens.
normies would realize they can't believe it either.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we'll see as this little story goes down the road. But he's looking at like 5 years for
Is
this.
he?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Well, I first saw it was going to be disorderly conduct, but that's the
Mm.
actual label they put on these, and it's
Mhm.
still like 3 or 5 years, whatever he could
Mhm.
get. Um, yeah, I think he'll get off still somehow.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I just,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
don't think so. I don't think so, and he's got an attorney, so I
he's
wonder if at some point he's going to just admit it or if he's just gonna defend it all the way.
he's hired Kaepernick's attorney, I heard.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then I wonder if there's any connection at all with Kamala Harris because he used to run around with her, and then when she was asked about it, probably saw that little clip,
yes,
she looked nervous in that clip.
yes. Oh, yeah, that is. Why was she sputtering like that?
Mm,
Yeah, I'm hoping, honestly, just hoping that we could connect it to
mhm.
her some because she has her anti-lynching law, right?
Right.
She immediately jumps in with both feet and mentions her,
Mhm. Yeah,
segregated lunch counters. You're next, ridiculous lynching law.
right.
But yeah, and of course she's photographed. He's very active politically. He lives in the capital of Black America, Chicago,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
far from MAGA country, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, and she's a prosecutor, right? She was a
Mhm.
prosecutor. How is she so gullible that she didn't know, that maybe I should chill? Unless probably she's just so confident in the system, holding
Yeah,
that it's gonna, she knows it's BS or maybe probably BS, but she doesn't think it's gonna get revealed.
right.
Or Jussie told her, yeah, it's in the bag, man. Don't worry, I got this.
Yeah,
Take
this
care.
is the dumbest plan. I mean, these are like they should I think didn't they used to have some TV show about like the world's dumbest criminals or something? They would show like the dumb things that criminals would do and how they get caught. And especially at this day and age where unfortunately we're under surveillance at all times, they found the video, of those two guys and they found video of them in the store buying the red hats. It's like we're all under surveillance. So you can't get away with something like this. Just the thought that he would do that, though, and then go on TV trying to defend it and say, I can't believe people don't believe me.
Yeah,
You know,
he's, he's
gross.
still probably a little pissed. I mean,
He probably thinks he's intelligent. And the funny thing is, like, literally nobody I know knew who this guy was until this thing happened. I'd never heard of him before, and I've never watched that show. So,
yeah, it's a big show on TV, but now that means you get, a couple million viewers. It's only
mhm,
black folks who watch it,
mhm.
you know. Um, yeah. And of course he also mailed himself a fake letter.
Oh, that's a too. I'm not real up on the crimes with the mails, but that's a crime to be mailing some kind of hate hoax through using the mails to do that,
That's a
right?
federal thing, right?
Yeah,
Something to do with
yeah,
mail. Yeah. You
yeah.
could really get in trouble. So they could
Mhm.
pile that on top of these charges.
Right.
I hope they go after him hard. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
look at all the resources they took, right?
Oh, yeah.
You
And
know,
then
it's
so go ahead.
I was just going to say it's funny that the reason that cops get away with putting all these resources into it because there's all this hysteria around it, right?
Mhm,
We got to
mhm.
find those racists. Well, it works against them, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure did. Sure did. Well, I read something today that said, okay, in the time that all the resources were being devoted to this hoax, there was like 18 or 20 people murdered in Chicago or something,
Yeah,
including a 1-year-old baby.
right. Somebody,
Yeah.
and somebody may have directly been hurt. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You take those many cops off the street, that might be one more murder over there. One or
Right.
two more murders.
But you know what is also sickening too is if they had what if they had just picked up some white guys that they saw on
Yes.
film or something, and then Jesse Smollett was completely prepared to just let them take the fall.
Mhm.
What a I can't even.
Yes.
I'm so angry at this guy. Like,
That's another thing that doesn't happen. People don't think it through. They think, "Oh, yeah, it just happened." Wait a minute. No, no.
mhm.
This is what this guy was looking to do, right? Say we
Yeah,
put two
yeah,
random white dudes.
yeah.
He probably would have kept his mouth shut because he
Of
would have had
course,
to reveal it's a hoax or
of
say,
course.
"Oh, I don't recognize them." Well, you don't recognize them. They're masked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So he's thrown that out there.
right.
We can't assume he was going to go back on his host if it got too far.
Oh,
No.
no. No, no. He was gonna on the contrary, just by his behavior, even now that he's been busted, he's gonna ride this all the way. It looks like he's just gonna, stick to his story, and it's gonna be interesting to see who or what he blames. I mean, he may come out saying that these brothers are lying. So
Yeah, he might have to. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Boy, what a plant. I mean, but I do wonder. I read a quote from, I forget where it was from, but there may be more people involved than just these two brothers and Jesse too, because somebody had said uh, something about that there's many people involved in this, and that's why I wonder if it goes deeper, if it goes into people like Kamala Harris and stuff like that. Because boy, wouldn't that be a story?
I would love it. I would love to see pulling a string, right? And just watch their sweater unravel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because I wouldn't put it past these Democrats to do something like this. And, they should figure with how many hate hoaxes there are for them to claim that white people are racist, yet they have to create all these hoaxes to have a racist event. Doesn't that tell
Yeah.
them anything? How do they live with themselves? I just don't even know how they live with themselves.
They still say repeatedly, well, there are far more right-wing terrorist attacks in this country than there are the other. And I'm thinking, where are they? I never
Mhm.
see them.
They only see the big news ones, like the what's the guy that with the bowl cut that shot
Yeah,
up the
that
church? Okay,
horrible guy who shot up the church.
yeah. So there's that, but they don't look at, I guess, because of the way the crimes are characterized, like all the shootings that happen in Chicago each month, or the murders that happen. Like if you took them, I mean, that's those are mass shootings a lot of times, but they don't count those. I don't think they don't count those the same as they would like a white guy
I
shooting.
know, honestly, I mean, every day, right now, some white guy's being assaulted for
Mhm.
being white somewhere. Right
Right.
now, I guarantee
Right.
you.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's a hate crime as they
Mhm.
define it. And
Yeah.
it's obvious they have a sort of privilege, don't they? They have
Mhm.
a privilege to hunt us. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
I get tired of saying it. I
Mhm.
feel impotent repeating this over and over again.
Mhm. Well, we'll just hope that this wakes people up. I'm curious to see what some of these liberals come back with, what they whether they're going to get honest ever. Maybe I'm expecting too much. They're probably never gonna get honest. But I would love to see that. I would love to see some of these leftists come out and say, you know what, this is just the last straw. I've
Yeah.
had enough of this.
I want to see mass defections. What's wrong
Yes.
with you people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some humanity.
Mhm.
We have to make the moral argument to them at this point. It's evil, guys, because like I
Mhm.
said, somebody's getting attacked out there right now for being white,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that whole thing about white people being the malicious side is, it's BS.
Mhm.
So
Right.
stop and think about what it is you're doing here, people.
Mhm.
You're perpetuating a lie, a murder. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, and I wonder if we are going to hear about the fallout from this lie, where if there are going to be stories we hear about a white guy got attacked because, oh hey, they maybe they said something because it was because of this. Hey, this is
yeah,
because of what happened to Jesse or whatever. I wonder if we're going to hear about those stories. 'Cause I know darn well it happened.
yeah, but it's also just that they're all pumped out. Basically, we've got Black America
Mhm.
wound up, and they're
Mhm.
not rational folk to begin with, and they're not, thinking on high level to begin with. And these things it's just, tightening the tension over and over again.
Mhm.
Even if there's not one guy who looks at Jesse Smollett's hoax and says, okay, I'm gonna go out and kill somebody. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter because it's just each one of these things, especially really bad ones like this,
Yeah.
just amp it up.
Yeah.
That's why you get, some psycho on a bus who just
Mhm.
randomly socks an old white guy because he
Yeah.
hates white people because he doesn't
Yeah.
because he's got a 70 IQ and he believes all this nonsense.
Yeah, and all the media that was complicit. And when this thing first happened, you could see all of us on right wing Twitter were all saying, we know this is a hoax. Not because we would never believe a black man. It's not because of that. It's because this is like the 300th one in the last
Yeah.
year. So it's like we see these all the time and we know what they look like. We know what they sound like. So that's why we didn't believe him. It's like, okay, this is so typical. And just his story that it was two white guys at 2 o'clock in the morning in Chicago saying this is MAGA country. It's just
It's so funny, right? They're in the gayest, blackest part of town, apparently, too, that neighborhood.
right. And nobody knows who he is. No MAGA white person knows who he
Yeah.
is, believe me. So that would just not happen.
Guy's a narcissist. He
Yeah.
probably
Oh,
thinks that
yes.
he's a big deal, you know?
Well, he acts like that. Yeah. He thinks he's very famous. It's like, no, we never knew who you were.
I come at 45 hard, yo, he says. I'm coming at Trump hard, man. Yeah.
Yeah, he slandered, all white men. He slandered Trump supporters. I mean, he accused them all basically in this. And I'm glad to see him be caught, and I'm glad to see that Covington kid finally filed his lawsuit for $250 million against the media. That's good too. I'm glad people are fighting back.
There should be like a class action suit on behalf of all white folk. One massive class action on behalf of 180 million, however many white folks are out there.
Yeah, there's still time. Oh, there's still time to go against that media. Yeah, at some point there's going to be an avalanche of this stuff, because at some point, normie white folks who are not yet tuned into all this are just going to have had enough.
In these goings down in the chat says, stop with the waking up stuff. People all know they are just afraid, and they should be. He's probably right.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that though. I know a fair amount of boomers who don't really get it.
Yeah.
So there's still. I mean, I hear what you're saying though. Yeah, and people are definitely afraid to speak out. It's too bad.
Well, the people who are deluded are the people who still live in the few white bread communities out there. Mm-hmm. The only black folks they know, they see on TV, or there's a few black folks in their neighborhood who are cool, mm-hmm. And they revere the hip hop nonsense. That's one thing we got to break. The cultural hold. People, mm-hmm. they revere and want to emulate these gangsta types, and all this nonsense. It's all just disgusting to me.
Yeah, no, our culture has gone downhill for sure. There's so much that we've just accepted incrementally over the years that, it didn't all happen overnight. And when you look at it now, I just think, how did we let this happen? It's not that I want to go backwards. I just want to get our dignity back.
It's possible, right? I mean, I was reading a passage in this book about the Aztecs and about how they were demoralized after the defeat, and I was creeped out. I was creeped out by how it sounded like us. We're these people who are like demoralized after a defeat, yet we're still here doing all the work and paying everything and walking around and acting like we're in charge or something.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're not, and we're just paying the taxes for everybody that hates us.
So apparently, the Nigerians bought their gear at the Crafty Beaver. I'm going to reserve all the blue jokes for when we don't have a woman on.
That's okay. That's funny.
I'm assuming they were gay. I don't know. Gay
what?
Nigerian bodybuilders. This story has everything.
Well, they say they're brothers, though. They're supposedly brothers. So yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know who they are or how he even knows them. I guess one of them was an extra or something on that show.
Yeah. And he says he hired one as a trainer to get ready for a music video, which this guy's got money spend on a trainer to get ready for a music video. I'm really mad, but
but you wonder, like, how did this whole conversation start? Like, who came up with this idea? Did Jesse come up with this? And how does he approach a guy and say, "Hey, I got a great idea. Let's do this hate hoax"?
Oh, yeah. Apparently it resembled a plot in something that he worked on recently. Oh. So he may have gotten the idea from a show that he did.
So he's that stupid he can't even
Yeah,
create his own plot.
he's not a bright kid. He's half Jewish too, but he's not, you know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
he's a he's like a quadruple threat: black, Jewish, gay,
Oh,
dumb. Yeah,
yeah. Well, he's gonna wish he hadn't done that. And does he have some bad history with white men, or is he just like a psychopath
you
and
can't
doesn't care?
possibly. Yeah, that's another type, right? You
Yeah.
get these mixed race guys who try harder,
Uh-huh.
like Barack Obama,
Hmm.
you know, who probably don't have the experience. In fact, they would get chewed up in a black school, right? They're the first guys who would get brutalized and bullied, if this little gay, sensitive gay boy was in some all black tough school, you know. But they have to try harder, like Kurtz, they got to try harder to prove themselves as black, I think, is part of it.
Oh, yeah, that could be because I just wonder, did he have something against, like, did something happen to him with white men, or is he just somebody who is so narcissistic he doesn't care about that he's hurting all these white men that he's accusing?
Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to see him interrogated, come clean about this. Yeah.
His story sure fell apart pretty quickly, though. I mean, the cops asked him for his phone, and he wanted to give them redacted phone records. It's like, well, why? Why would you give them?
Yeah. Oh, I heard that the lawyers turned over a spreadsheet, which is
Okay.
how you do it, that showed the calls, and they redacted
Hmm.
bunch of calls. So the cops just then went and looked for everything that they'd left out of their spreadsheet for for the incriminating calls.
That's funny. Boy,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. Like, what? I don't know how this guy thought that he was going to get away from it with this. I mean, he must really think that the cops are stupid and there's no cameras anywhere, and he's just brilliant.
That's funny. He found a camera, right? He thought he staged it in front of a camera, but it was facing the other way. You're not going to make much of a director, son. Right?
Well, he really he threw his life away with this one, his whole career, everything. For what? What was the point? I mean, what? Why
Yeah,
did he do it?
I know. Somebody tweeted, "This is just a cry for help. I hope they take it easy on the guy."
Oh, please,
Far from it.
give me a
No, this
break.
is just a craven move by a
Yeah.
greedy, weird.
It's an anti-white hate crime is what it is,
It is.
and he needs to be prosecuted for a hate crime.
Absolutely. We'll see. I don't know. Has Trump talked about it at all?
I don't know. I haven't been paying much attention to Trump lately.
Yeah.
I'm really,
You're a little disappointed.
I'm just burned out on him, and
Yeah.
I just can't anymore. You know, how do you feel about him lately?
Oh, yeah. I haven't really gotten into the details of this awful bill he supposedly signed, the
Mm.
spending bill. But yeah. I mean, I think he's still fighting. He might get somewhere on the wall with his emergency decree. I've read that their legal challenges, uh,
Mm.
aren't going to work. Supposedly, that he should be on firm legal ground. He'll just have to, it'll have to work its way through the courts.
Yeah, I haven't even read it. I've just kind of tuned out from this stuff because it's just so negative. And I saw some video on Twitter today though. Supposedly, the 5 billion or so that he didn't get that we're now giving to Israel. Is that even true? Like, I don't know if it was just somebody making it up, or because I know we already give them money, but this guy was saying, oh no, we're giving them now on top of that exactly this money that we don't have for the wall. I don't know if that's just a rumor.
Well, we
Have you
give
heard
him
about
like 30 bill a year
it?
anyway. So
Right.
any dollar we give to them, yeah, and they're spending it on their wall, on
Mhm.
their own wall. So yeah.
Well, now too, Trump is now going to champion global homo everywhere. That was the
Oh,
latest. It's like,
you just don't know the 3D chess angle. Have you heard that? So the
uh,
3D chess angle is
mm, uh-oh, microphone. No sound. No sound. Poor Dennis and his sound. Hey, Eki's in the chat. Eki, you should come on here. I can't hear. I don't think I. Dennis, I still can't hear you. Nope. Oh. Eki Lux, get on here. Talk to me. Talk to No, Dennis, we can't hear you. We see you. They're cutting his sound. YouTube doesn't like his mockery of blackface. But right back. Okay. We'll be right back after these messages. Eke, come on. Eke says read Siege. I still haven't read Siege. When someone tells me to read something like that over and over and over again, I just don't. I probably should just so I know what's in it, though. Somebody come on and keep me company. Yeah, Brundlefly, Eke Lux. The link is posted above. You have to scroll up. Siege was a really good band from Boston. I've never heard of them as a band. Have I read Seraphim Rose? Yes, I have, Sir Robert Shimley. I've read his book on nihilism. And I was actually going to read it on my channel because I'm done. I read it just myself, but I was considering doing a reading of that book because it's really good. But that's the only one so far. List me some other ones. I'll go get them. Well, I didn't come here to host the Dennis show. Somebody come on. No. Dennis, not too good with this white man's technology. Yeah, that's a bummer when your mic goes out and you can't figure out what's wrong. Sometimes you just have to unplug and reboot, just like they told us 20 years ago. Have you tried unplugging it, rebooting? That usually fixes everything. Dennis, come back. Is Brenda Fly still here? Share the permanent link. Okay. Let's see. Here's a link. Somebody come on. Quantrell Bishop. Orthodoxy and the religion of the future is good as well, but nihilism should be mandatory reading. Yes. Why read To Kill a Mockingbird when Father Rose is laying it down for real? Yes. Everybody go read Father Seraphim Rose. Yeah, he was an Eastern Orthodox priest, monk. You back?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for your patience.
Let's see. I can see you in the Google Hangouts, but I don't think. Oh, there you are. Now you're on the YouTube. I wasn't sure if your picture was
You can't see me in the dark.
I wasn't saying that.
Is that what you're saying? No?
No, I was not implying that.
All right. So somebody's recommending reading it.
Oh yeah, so because I'm converting to Eastern Orthodox Christianity, and so there's a bunch of people to read. And Father Seraphim Rose wrote a book on nihilism back in, I don't know what year he wrote it. He died in 1982. He was only like 47 or something, but he started writing it, I think, in the early 60s. And so the stuff he was saying, when you read it, you got to consider the time frame he was in, but it could apply today. So I'll probably read that book on my channel because I'm starting to do some book readings on there, so I may do that. But
Well, we
yes.
need to come up with a reading list for Juicy when he's in that cell. He's going to have lots of time on his hands.
Oh, yeah.
Like when Ralph Northam, he wore blackface, and so now he's got to read Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Steve Saylor pointed out something, and I don't know why nobody else said it first. So Ralph Northam, to try and keep his job, says, I'm going to read Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I'm going to introduce a whole bunch of new programs for Black folks. I'm like, wait a minute.
What?
He's going to spend your tax money, right, to keep his
Yeah.
job. Wait a minute. If these ideas weren't good ideas before you were in trouble, and now that now you're going to. It's basically you're looting the public purse
Mhm.
to save your damn job. This is getting outrageous.
It's just
You know.
stupid. Well, yeah, I mean, they're now going back to people's yearbooks, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and now I'm sure you saw they dug up a 50-year-old article of John Wayne. Now they're going back 50 years. Did you see that?
Yeah, we've known about that. That quote about white supremacy has been out there forever. You
But
know.
now it's like a concerted effort to like go after white men from 30, 40, 50 years ago,
Yeah.
dig stuff up just to throw it out there.
So they can tear down his statue over at
Sure.
Orange County, and yeah, they've always hated John Wayne, of course.
Mhm. Well, he's a symbol, right? He's just like kind of
Yeah.
a symbol of Americanism and like that Western thing, So
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of people are just sitting by letting them tear down stuff. It's pretty disgusting. I mean, Dennis, me and you may not live to see the worst of it. So I'm actually thankful for that.
Yeah, I don't want to go out though with it just getting. I want to go out seeing some hope. That
Yeah.
like, we're
Oh,
going to
me
get out
too.
of this. That would make me happy. Just
Yes, me
you know,
too. Me too.
you have to choose optimism, even though it sounds ridiculous. But you have
Mhm.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of up and down with all this. Like some days I'm like I have the fight in me and other days I just don't.
Yeah. Well, I wish I was a real fighter.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not. But yeah, you have to. It's like war, though.
Mhm.
We're pressed into service. We're all teachers and firemen and regular people, and now war's on, so we have to grab a rifle and become warriors.
Well, I mean, individually, it's not a ton of stuff we could each do, but I think just getting the word out, telling the truth, um, not being afraid of all the backlash. I mean, like I think I told you before, like I've already lost all my friends and colleagues that I
Really?
had that were liberal and stuff, and so I kind of have to make like a whole new set of friends and everything. So it's just how it goes. Like you got to risk something. Like if you care about this, then you're gonna stand up for the truth and you're gonna say what you see going on, and there's consequences, but okay, I can't live any other way.
People are still selling out, though. People are still. Well, I can't. All these people are compromised. Anybody with good profession probably feels like there's just no way they could say anything.
Hmm.
Because now with social media has become, it's become the system of surveillance, right? I mean, now when you go for a job, they're going to peruse your social media.
Right.
Oh, you liked something from this Dennis Dale person,
Hmm. Hmm.
So everybody's got to keep their head down.
Yeah, I just can't live that way. Like I'd
Me
rather,
neither.
I just deal with the consequences, and unfortunately, I lost friends that I cared about, but and it's not. People say, "Oh, you shouldn't lose friends," quote, over politics, but it's really not over politics. It's
It's not
over. It's
politics.
it's it's over my life. It's like you're
Yeah,
telling me
it's not mere
that.
politics.
Yeah, it's not mere. It's very personal now. Like you're. I had a friend that was that when I showed her the Lauren Southern video on South Africa. I don't know if have you seen that video that she did?
No,
It was a good video. You should. It's on her YouTube channel. She about the farm murders in South Africa. It's very
right.
good. Showed it to a friend of mine. She's a Latina, and she laughed at me. She's like, "Oh, that's just hysteria." And that was kind of the end of our friendship. We'd been friends for a
Yeah.
good long time, and I was just like, you're trying to gaslight me about this." And then as I kind of troll her, not troll, but I lurk and watch her social media, she's just gotten farther and farther left,
Really?
and yeah, yeah. And I kind of was bringing her towards the right a little bit on some issues, but then I just watch her now. She's just full blown like anti-white, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I kind of saw when you kind of laughed me off about the
Yeah.
South Africa thing when you didn't take it seriously. Tells me you don't take my life seriously because what's going on there will eventually happen here if we don't put a stop to all this.
Yeah, it just shows you how cold we can be if it doesn't directly affect us. And if
Mhm.
that was story of people of her ethnicity getting
Mhm.
genocided somewhere,
Right.
it'd be a whole different story.
Sure.
And
Aki's here.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
hey, Eki, hi,
So,
welcome to the stream, white man.
I'm really excited about this. It's really fun.
Are you? You sure you want to be part of it?
Why not?
A little shiny.
I decided to hang out with everyone's favorite funny internet racists. So here we are, right? We're just
Yeah.
a big club. Great.
Yeah, Dennis, it's just performance art. So,
That's exactly what it is.
when I hear anything from anybody about it, I'm just going to be like, Dennis was doing performance art and I can explain it,
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to take it seriously with your cat on the back of your chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on, Eki?
All right. So, any fun news for today? Anyone got any neat stories?
Yeah, we were just Juicy Smollett. Juicy Mullet. Yeah. I didn't know. Everything else is there anything else good out there to talk about? What is the next most important news item out there today?
Let me check Twitter real quick and see what people are going on about. See if there's anything. See if I see anything here. It's mostly Jussie Smollett. It's the big news.
I'm looking at the video of the guys in the store buying their masks. It's so funny.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, right? When these guys show up and when they got 2 masks, red hats, gloves, a rope,
there's also
maybe.
something. It seems sad in a weird way. Like, it seems depressing. Like, it's so banal. A couple of guys preparing for a fake hate crime. There's something about it that's just so bland and lame. Like, it's like, wait, this is your fucking life. This is what you did with yourself. What?
Yeah. It's silly and pathetic and embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no shame on the other side. We should know that. And Tom Wolfe is dead, as Steve Saylor points out, and he would be loving this in a perverse way. Tom Wolfe for Bonfire of the Vanities, late 80s. People read Bonfire of the Vanities and think, oh, Tom Wolfe's just talking about, what it was like in New York at the time. But all this craziness hadn't really taken off yet. People didn't know who Al Sharpton was yet, for instance, and things hadn't gotten that far.
Yeah.
If you know the story behind Bonfire of the Vanities, how that plays out.
No, I don't.
Yeah, but it's pretty remarkable, pretty prescient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody suggested that should be on Juicy's reading list when he's in jail.
Oh, God.
Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah, so let's there's a bunch of memes about Jussie, and then what's her name? That one that that blonde lady that accused Kavanaugh. What was her name? I can't even remember her name now. She's already her, and then the Indian. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my God, no! I've got like a chain of pictures of her. Let me see if I can. I've got it somewhere. Son of a bitch.
What's her name? Now I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, no, I forgot her freaking name, and I've got like a bunch of photographs of her. Here we are. Ford.
Ford.
Her name is
Lazy
Ford.
Lazy Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's memes of her and Jussie, and then the Indian with the banging drum, and it's like, it says just fake it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just
For your
Yeah.
consideration for best
And
performance in a hoax.
instead of the Nike logo, it's the Democrat Party logo. It's pretty
Mhm.
funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are they really running Bernie? Like, or Bernie's actually running? Like, who else is announced? I haven't been paying much attention, but Bernie's like 77 years old now.
Biden probably will, I guess.
Biden, Bernie. Who's polling the best? Is it Biden?
Biden
Mm-hmm.
and Biden, Bernie, and somebody else, maybe Kamala Harris.
Mm.
Yeah. I just love that she had that freeze out when they asked her about the
Mhm.
Smollett affair. Because I
Yeah.
remember her during the Kavanaugh hearings, and she was like trying to really play. That was her launching pad. Her and Cory Booker were,
Mhm.
each that was going to be their launching pad for
Yeah.
the campaign. And she was trying to do this right. She tried to. She was fishing, right? She pretended like she had something. Did you have
Mhm.
any conversations with so and so about the Mueller investigation? Just throwing it out there. She had nothing
Mhm.
to try and make it look like he was covering up.
Right. It's like poisoning the well. It's like it's the implication, or implication of what people leads people to think that there's something there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just watching her. She was so smug, and it's
Mhm.
just so in her element. Yeah, look at me. I'm like on Law and Order here, right? And then you see her on the street, confronted with a question she's not ready for, and she's like,
Yeah.
brain freeze.
Yeah, that's something in her demeanor. Like I said earlier, I just really think there's some connection with her there. Because
Yeah.
she just looked really nervous to me. And I'm thinking, why would you be
Yeah.
nervous? Even if you were embarrassed that maybe you jumped the gun, you just say, well, looks like maybe there's more to the story than we thought. But you don't look nervous about it. She looks nervous.
Yeah.
They're
She,
ideologues.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is they're ideologues.
Mhm.
And an ideologue that is being challenged, like their entire worldview is challenged, their narrative is challenged,
Mhm.
everything that they've been telling everyone has been challenged.
Mhm.
So, like, it basically threatens to rip apart the world for these
Mhm.
people. That's actually like it's it triggers a flight or fight response.
Mhm.
Like, seriously, once you puncture a person's worldview, it's actually on a psychological level. It triggers a physiological. There's a weird thing where. I'm sorry, I've been doing things throughout the day. I'm a little out of it right now. But yeah, it triggers a physiological response. So the person interprets it on a psychological level as an attack, and it actually hits the same parts of the brain as if you're getting physically attacked. And I'm serious. I've seen this many times over, and I've seen the look of fear from progressives when you attack their worldview. And I think that that's probably what's going on. Personal opinion.
You don't know. There might be, like Holly said, more there. I mean, this woman should be tough, man. She's about 50. She was Attorney General of California.
Mhm.
She was Willie Brown's mistress.
Hmm.
She, I can't see her as being naive like that.
No, yeah, yeah, but the thing is, she would know. Like, the one thing that why I would think that she wouldn't be involved in it, because having been a prosecutor, she would know how easily this could be uncovered.
Yeah.
So I can't believe she'd be so dumb. unless she thought, okay, here's how you do it, because I've seen these cops investigate crime, so I know how to set this up perfectly. I mean, who knows? Or it's just the hubris on the left that they think they're invincible. That's part of
They
it
really
too.
do. That's scary. Well, and they almost are, because we'll
Mhm.
see if Juicy gets away with this.
Mhm.
It'll just be another demonstration of how impossible the situation is right now.
Yeah.
But
Oh, people are still reacting to your blackface, Dennis. They're just
I,
coming on the
I'm
street.
sure I don't know what you're talking about. What do you guys mean? Please don't draw attention to my complexion. It's a chronic condition. I wish you wouldn't say anything about it.
Right. Oh, my apologies. I accept you as you are.
Thank you.
I love all people.
Black like me.
Yes, I love you. So
That was a story that was a movie, right? Holly, you might know this movie. There was a movie with Burgess Meredith. It's a true story of a journalist who went in blackface,
Yeah.
black like me. So
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a guy, I believe, in the 50s. And I don't know how they made him up to look that way, but it's like, yeah, he went undercover as a black man. I never read the book, so I don't know the entire story or what he discovered. But yeah, I think when I've seen the pictures, like he didn't look that convincing. So I do wonder how he
Burgess Meredith has got this little pointy nose. It's totally wrong. He's running around at the movie version.
Oh,
Completely ridiculous.
I didn't see the movie. I'm talking about the real guy. Like I've seen pictures of like the real guy.
Oh,
And
really?
he didn't. I don't think that he passed very well either. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. What was it? Oh, Kamala's father virtually disowned her today over the pot controversy. That was just a stupid thing to her to say.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Like she got her timeline wrong too. She says
Right.
that she smoked pot in college listening to Tupac, but she's like I think a couple years older than me, so she would have been in college in the 80s before Tupac was even a rapper.
Right. She got that wrong.
Yeah.
I read Barack Obama's book, and he tried to come off like he had some sort of street experience as a black kid, you know, in Hawaii at the private school, you know. These guys have to try harder, these people who aren't that black, and you know, which her Jamaican dad, if you see a picture of him, he's obviously biracial too. He looks like a white guy, and I guess her mom was Indian, you know.
But that's, you know, people that are mixed race have it harder in a sense because they don't know, they don't have a really distinct identity because they're neither this nor that, but they're both. So, you know, there's been studies about this, like they have more depression than non-mixed people because they're just pulled, you know, they have to pick, and usually they pick with like the non-white side as their identity. But yeah, it's, you know, nothing against them. I mean, they're born how they're born, but it's like their parents were kind of selfish, you know, when they don't think about the consequences to their kids.
Well, they all go directly now. Everybody used to pass as white if they could, right? Now everybody, even white people, try to pass as black. You know, it's like Sean King. Right. So clear where the privilege lies. You know,
that's true. Well, look at Pocahontas. You know, she pretended to be Indian so she could get into whatever law school she went to.
Yeah. And she's running.
And also look at Big Daddy Dennis over here passing for black convincingly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Okay.
Well, Dennis, this was a hell of a surprise to log on and see you. Becky, did you miss his introductory song?
Yeah, I just
there
got
was a
home.
Musical number. Yeah.
No, I'm actually I'm trying to discreetly eat dinner right now.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing. So that's why I'm being so quiet. But yeah, I just got home, so no, I did not see the intro. Like I literally just popped onto the internet just now.
So how's life for you, Eki? Since you're not streaming at night, right? You stopped doing that, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit more responsible with my time, which includes getting proper sleep. Mixed results on that.
Yeah, I've been working on that for like a year now. I'm finally getting good at it.
Yeah. And the idea is just to, I've got a long-term project that I got to work on that I got to freaking finish. And it's a creative project. So the plus side is, you know, yay, I'm doing something I like to do. The downside is that you're always kind of at the mercy of the muses. So sometimes it works out and you're like, oh, I had a great epiphany today that's totally going to work out or whatever. And once in a blue moon, that's actually the case. But so often you're just kind of slogging and it's like, you know, nothing's really happening. So, you know, you just push through. But yeah, that's what I'm doing with my time at the moment. And I actually miss streaming.
Yeah.
Sure.
I understand.
Yeah.
I think
There is one thing though that's completely pertinent. Let me see if I can find a copy of it. I was reading it earlier today, and it's here we are. Okay, I'm getting son of a bitch. It's on a PDF. Okay, here's the title of it: Estimating Ethnic Genetic Interests. Is it adaptive to resist replacement migration by Frank Salter? If you guys get a chance, you should absolutely check this out. It is incredible.
When was it written?
2002, 2003?
Okay.
2002, November of 2002.
Can you give us the Cliff Notes on that? So what does he say?
Here, I'll read the introductory paragraph.
Okay.
So this is the introductory paragraph. Here we go. Analyses of the costs and benefits of immigration have not considered the dependence of an ethnie's racial group, of an ethnie's reproductive fitness on its monopoly of a demarcated territory. The idea is just that there hasn't been a formal analysis of how immigration impacts people in a territory. Okay. Global assays of human genetic variation allow estimation of the genetic losses incurred by a member of a population when random fellow ethnics are replaced by immigrants from different ethnies. This potential loss defines an individual's ethnic genetic interest as a quantity that varies with the genetic distance of potential immigrants. So basically, the closer an immigrant is to you genetically, the better. The more distant, the worse. D.W. Hamilton showed that self-sacrificial altruism is adaptive when it preserves the genetic interests of a population of genetically similar individuals. Ethnic genetic interests can be so large that altruism on behalf of one's ethne, the ethnic nepotism, can be adaptive when it prevents replacement. It follows that ethnies usually have an interest in securing and maintaining a monopoly over a demarcated territory, an idea consonant with the universal nationalism of Bismarck and Woodrow Wilson. So essentially, this is a text by an academic, peer-reviewed, I think, that is essentially giving an intellectual bulwark for blood and soil.
Mm.
And I read part of it earlier today on a stream, and I'm going to finish it over the next couple of days.
Well, it's not an outrageous idea. I mean, it's pretty common sense, really.
Yeah, yeah. And when you stop and think about just think about any given population. Think about Somalians. You're going to think about Somalia. Think about the Chinese. You're going to think about China. It's just the way that it goes.
Yeah.
The Indonesians, you're going to think about Indonesia.
Yeah.
What do you
The
think?
Afghans, you're going to think about Afghanistan. You start transplanting them to new places, now suddenly it means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just some random genetic strain in a given location. I think there's a lot to be said for the idea of maintaining a center, a land center for your people.
Yeah. Well, sure. I bet, as you know, like only the Western white countries are for everybody. So like anyone can be an Englishman, anyone can be an American.
Yeah.
We were really
Yeah.
sold on that idea, especially in America. I was surprised to learn how much the European countries were sold on that idea too. You can almost make the argument for America being that way. Just I don't know, because of how we started it. But I never knew that.
Right.
Until a couple years ago, that like in England, they're raised to believe that anybody can be an Englishman too. That shocked me, and it's like, but no, and no one questions it when you try to push back on people and say no, that's not it. There actually is like a racial heritage there. They'll laugh at you and I'll go, but wait a minute, if I moved to China and got a passport, am I Chinese?
Right.
There's no way. And they see it right away then. But yeah, it's amazing we've all been brainwashed like this.
No, that's the indigenous land of Europeans. Like
Right.
we talk about the Indians. We took the
Right.
land from the indigenous and inhabitants of North America.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you can make that logical argument in America. Yeah, it's not explicitly racial, but those were all ethno states in Europe.
Right.
Explicitly.
Dennis, I put a link in the Hangout. Can you put that in the chat so other people can get a copy of that?
Frank Salter. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just because it's, I genuinely think this is a worthy thing to read. I keep thinking about this, which is that for some reason, white people are really good at self-immolation. They're really good at saying, oh, I'll take one for the team or whatever. And they're not good at the moment. We are not good at the moment at self-defense, which sucks. And I keep thinking there needs to be an intellectual rationalization for not only self-defense, but defense of your people. And that's really what it comes down to. People aren't even defending their own kind. White people are refusing to defend their family. It's really bad. And I think that having an intellectual framework, a rationalization for self-defense is really needed. And that's, I think, what this paper does. It provides a secular rationale. So I just think it's worth reading. That's really what it comes down to.
I will take a look.
Yeah.
What they appear to be doing is bringing in colonies of people who have a beef against England, for instance, in Britain, right? I mean, the Muslims all have a beef against them. We're bringing in, I saw this thing about AOC's chief of staff in training, of course. They're trying to make him out to be a Nazi because he had this shirt with this Indian nationalist. It's like a Che Guevara shirt, except it's some Indian nationalist who was not nonviolent. And the guy's an Indian nationalist, right? Of course he is, because he's Indian. He might be born here. He probably is born here. Meanwhile, he's the AOC's chief of staff, and here in America, he's going to work hard to deracinate the place, to work against any sort of nationalism. And and this is a smart guy, obviously, he probably doesn't even see the contradiction, between his love and this guy.
Well, because everyone's been taught that it's not for white people, that tribe and race, and that it's not for white people, it's for everybody else. And everyone's been taught that we're the majority and they're the minority, notwithstanding us being 6% of the world's population.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Maybe our time is up.
I hope not.
I don't want to say that I'm white pilled on it exactly, because I'm not, but I think there is an argument to be made for the idea that the progressives are basically culling themselves, and what's going to remain is going to be a hyper nationalistic core of remaining whites.
I hope so.
I think is going to happen. I think.
It's people saying that, like, there's going to be, like, the progressives are going to breed themselves out of existence. They're not having babies. And supposedly the conservative whites will breed a little. But the conservative whites, the regular whites out there, are the most demoralized. These are the people that get hit with the freaking that are dying on drugs, and the suicide rates are going up, and their life expectancy is actually going down, which is insane, right? I mean, that alone should have people just, alarmed, but white people don't even note this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't get media coverage. Gee, I wonder why not,
Yeah, I know.
We die in silence, we die in the dark.
Yeah, something's got to happen. I was thinking about the BDS movement, right? Boycott, divest, and sanction.
That's an interesting, but coming up from the left, that's an interesting to see, like the anti-Israel stuff from the left. I wonder how that's going to play out.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's good things happening. I think like Ilhan Omar, right? Giving hell. I hate that it's her. I hate that she gets to do it, because we should have cleaned house before. And she's an idiot. She's sitting there reading from an Al Jazeera article, but she's given Elliot Abrams, Cohen, I forget which one, the worst one. He's in charge of wrecking Venezuela now, right?
Oh boy,
another neocon. But yeah, I'm thinking, well, at least this is trouble for the Democrats, and maybe they're becoming untenable. Jews are going to start fleeing them. Jewish money will start fleeing, hopefully. But
yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, at some point, it all has to collapse.
Well, we can't live in this tension forever.
Yeah, something's got to give. I wish it would give soon.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later would be probably better.
Well, I think we can live in America as a colony, but if you think about it, the colony is going to have to it's going to have to shrink. It's going to have to reduce. And at the moment, the way that I see the colony happening is, I think it's going to huddle up against Canada.
Could be.
Should be the Northwest. I mean, this is great, perfect country for us up here. The progressives are busy taking it over politically by pumping people into Seattle and Portland.
Yeah.
Oregon and Washington are both states that should be conservative white states, but they've got Seattle and Portland, both high numbers of paused whites and minorities who vote left and tilt the states left. It's their strategy everywhere. Fill the cities up with newcomers, Democrats, anti-whites, and it's working. It's working only too well.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I've actually come around. It's almost embarrassing to say this, but I've come around to Trail of Tears, actually. And the idea, as horrific as it sounds, is simply that, well, they got to go back, basically. And I think it's going to be a zero-sum game at some point. And, no Fed posting, I'm not advocating for anything, but if there were to be a Trail of Tears 2.0, where it's just repatriation? I would not be averse to that. I would not be averse to that at all.
Well, these cases of the Muslim brides coming back to England and to America, these are some good test cases about stripping citizenship off of somebody.
Yeah.
So these are interesting for that reason, because we don't see that often. We don't see people getting their citizenship stripped. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that Alabama wife, as they're calling her, instead of the terrorist. But
Alabama woman.
Yeah, they're calling her the Alabama mother.
God.
It's like, no, she went away. She hated America. She grew up in Alabama, and she went away and married an ISIS guy. She was widowed 3 times. She's only like 24, and she's widowed 3 times.
Really?
Going out and getting blown up. Yeah. So, I mean, and how many of our guys or Westerners were killed because of her husband and her giving comfort and support to him, we shouldn't let her back. I know that the one that's from England is having a hard time. Like, I think the Netherlands won't take her. And then there was another country that said no as well. So I'm glad to see people countries standing up and saying, you know what? You made your bed, you go lie in it.
Well, we need to come up with more creative ways to strip citizenship from people. Absolutely.
Right.
Strip away and take away green cards and take away residency rights. I mean,
Mhm.
I mean, if we really wanted to fight hard, if we really could, I mean, it would be we would do to them what they do to us.
Right.
Propagandize them, demoralize them, do everything you can to discourage them from having kids. First
Mhm.
off, stop paying them to do it, right?
Mhm.
And throw propaganda at them and give them the world they pretend exists. A world where we say, yeah, we're white, F
Right.
you,
Well,
we're
yeah,
better than you,
that's the
you're
thing.
second-class citizens. We should give it to them.
If we actually were anything like what they say we are,
Yeah.
we would have control over everything, and we wouldn't be having all these problems. Yeah.
We should
Yeah.
become what they say we are. Yeah. And see how because that's what they're doing to us. We're talking
Yeah.
about BDS. There's
Mhm.
kind of a BDS movement against white people in America, right? Boycott white business, basically, right? So any business that's too white, don't frequent it. Divest from anything that's too white. Sanction, everything is
True.
moral sanction against us.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking today more about like the whole transgender kid thing. We talked about that before. I don't want to rehash that one, but I was just thinking about like if we didn't win this, in which I believe we will win in the end, but if we didn't, imagine what our enemies, how they would laugh about us saying, "Oh, and we got their to turn their boys into girls." Because really, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're turning
Yeah.
our boys into girls, and
Yeah.
we're going along with this. Not me and you, but like, our people are like, "Oh, okay, I don't want to be a bigot." It's just insane.
Well, this whole tranny craziness is just revealing how empty the elite is, right? I mean, when you see someone like, just a moment, when you see somebody like, I'm thinking of that short woman who used to do the morning show.
I don't know.
You see these like regular milk toast morning show people talking about it, right?
Mhm.
Like one of them did a special about the trans movement, the new gender, right? And
Mhm.
you see like this person who's like Disneyfied, these very mainstream characters buying into it wholesale. You
Mhm.
realize these people don't think, or they have no no moral center at all. They're going to
Yeah.
they're going to accept whatever's thrown in front of them pretty much, right? I mean, you wonder how much farther they can or will go.
I know, that's the scary thing. I mean, because 'cause we're pretty darn far, into Sodom and Gomorrah at this point. I mean, I don't know how much worse it gets. I guess I guess it could go farther into, child marriages and, bestiality and things like that.
Well, pedophilia, yeah, obviously they're going to try some sort of normalize. I can't believe they'll try and normalize it, but they're going to try and get us like now they're saying, well, we should be sympathetic towards the pedophiles. They can't help it as long as they don't offend. We'll
Yeah,
accept
no.
them. That's
No.
where they're at right now,
Yeah.
and that's not going to work.
They have no moral compass, like, they have no moral anchor,
Yeah.
so everything is just kinda relative and, like and they just keep going farther and farther and farther because they just have nothing to anchor them. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but this is kind of why I've gotten more religious, like, I wasn't religious for a good 30 years there at all, and then now I'm kind of going back that way because 'cause I'm, like, seeing the benefit of it. I'm like, "Okay, this is an anchor for you." It helps you remember, like, what's good behavior and what the hell is normal. Like, what should be good, how should you act, because this society, you could never look at the society and get any clues about the right way to act.
I always think of American Psycho. You see that movie at the start where he's going through his ridiculously long morning routine
Mhm.
and he's talking about how empty he is, how he feels nothing except greed and disgust. And,
Mhm.
this is what these people are. They're all just bug people, man. They know
Yeah.
nothing except not just greed. It's more like striving. It's more like striving for status, right?
Mhm.
That's all they know. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about all this.
No, you're not.
Maybe I should accept it. Maybe gender is just a social construct.
It's funny that they believe so much in science until it comes to gender identity.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, it's whatever you feel." you know, and sometimes it's fluid, so it changes from day to day. Yeah, that's real scientific there, buddy. Yeah, that just I don't know how these people got sold on this. I mean, they're just their minds are all confounded.
They don't cite science so often anymore, right?
Mhm.
They used to love to cite it.
Mhm.
Because I think that's one reason, like this global warming. I don't know. Is this a big issue out there? I don't think it is. I don't care myself, but I don't think it's. The Democrats are putting a lot of eggs in that basket
Mhm.
for 2020. They're going to run on global warming. You know, their Green New Deal and all that. And I think part of that is because they see it as very clear cut. You know, and the world hangs in the balance, and there's none of the BS that they have. You know, I don't know the science. I don't really care
I
somehow.
haven't studied that at all. I used to believe it because I thought that's what the scientists were saying, but then I've heard that there's a bunch of scientists who are afraid to speak up. That's what I've heard. So I don't know, you know. So I have no idea what to make of that. But I hear that there's a fair amount of scientists who don't agree with that, but they're silenced because of the, you know, the environment. You know, you got to go along with this. It's kind of like racism, you know. It's like you got to go along with their definitions of things, and so I don't know.
I think they feel they can do a lot of their social justice agenda under the cover of this, right? Of
Mhm.
the climate change thing. Of course,
But
China's not going to stop pumping out greenhouse
no,
gases anytime
no. And
soon.
what are they proposing with? Haven't read really what.
I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. So, because I guess if we really wanted to figure out what the agenda is, we'd see like who and what really benefits from whatever it is they're proposing. So
Key
maybe
bono, baby, right?
we could really uncover what's the real, true agenda.
Yeah. Well, we can sure see it with their racial politics. I mean, there's a bunch of people. Steve Saylor likes to talk about this. You take these journalists who write there's a whole niche in journalism now who write thumbsuckers about, you know, feminism or, you know, racism or whatever. And it's always the individual is of that given group, and their agenda is always promote my group, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
like like a lot of these women write long articles about how they should be considered hotter, you know,
Oh God.
when they talk about, you know, beauty standards. It's basically
Right.
I should be the hot one, guys. Come
Yeah.
on.
No. Yeah. That's the funniest thing. You know, they think that the standards came out of nowhere, like that they were just created by evil white men, and so it's like, you know, we can change them. No, people are attracted to what they're attracted to, and it's generally not the hefty model. You know, it's just not. So,
There's an all non-white modeling agency out there. Did you see this?
yeah, they're none of them are attractive. I looked at that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Not a single one of them is attractive on there. If they're going to have a non-white modeling agency, they should at least put some attractive people in there.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. Yeah, but of course, I saw an article where it was like a joke. I mean, they're actually catching up to the parody and blowing past it because it was. And this was the title of the article. I think something about this black transgender handicapped. I don't think they say handicapped model is the future of modeling.
Yeah, I think I saw that, and it's
See
not
this
a
photo.
parody.
Yeah.
It's actually real. Yeah.
It's one of these guys, and he's got the chair. I don't know if he can even talk, you know, and he's got the chair, and his hands are mangled, and
Oh my God.
it's just sad. Yeah, it's like they're going to wheel out these creatures. Gruesome comedy, man.
It's because of this idea of representation. You know, people need to be represented. Well, whatever happened to ideals? You know, it used to be like in our art, we had just the ideal represented, right? And we all know that we can't all be that ideal, but it's something
Yeah,
to look up to and look. And this is the best that we have. You know, why not put the best on the pedestal? Why are we now? If things are very inverted, this is why I think things have just become satanic, basically, when you think about it, because it's like it's upside down, everything's inverted. Like the things that are ugly are supposed to be beautiful, and vice versa. It's
because
gross.
beauty is hierarchical and
Hmm.
fascist, you know.
Right,
If
right.
beauty is the ultimate sort of fascist aspect, I think. Yeah, and that's why they go after it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this, of course, is, you know, like you said, if you're a black model, you know, well, you go out and you start a little organization for black models and more representation, yeah, and it works, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when it used to just be that people wanted equal opportunity, and now you see people
Yeah.
holding signs saying, "Shut up, white man, and let us
Yeah.
abolish you." Okay. That's a far cry. Like, Dennis, I think we were lied to, back like 30, 40 years
That
ago
used,
about what they wanted.
that used to be my standard rant. Yeah, we've been betrayed, people. We were
Yeah.
betrayed by black people because we, through civil rights, we said, yeah, we're going to make things equal, and
Mhm.
you're gonna participate. You guys are
Right.
going to take those jobs and
Yeah.
do those jobs and contribute.
Mhm.
They're not doing it. They're not showing up because they don't have the talent, the innate talent. But what are they doing? They're betraying us by just tearing everything down now.
Right. And now civil rights is for everybody that's not white, and people who just walk across the border, they're entitled to civil rights now,
Yeah.
and they're entitled to have grievances against us as the descendants of the founding stock, even though these people just walked across the border. It's pretty amazing how that works, and we've allowed it. That's the other thing. We've just allowed it, and I mean, all of the so-called conservative politicians that just gave this country away a little piece by piece by piece.
Yeah.
They're going to go down in history.
Yeah.
When we write the history books on this one, their name is going to be mud. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to be too negative, but I mean, I could just think of all kinds of punishments for the traitors among us,
Hmm.
the worst people, the people who knew going in, the people who
Hmm.
knew the whole time. And there were people, because there were warnings. I mean, Pat Buchanan, he ran for president, what is it, 92?
Hmm.
He could have got pretty far too. He might have actually made it.
Yeah.
And he was warning us about all this stuff. It's not like we didn't know going in.
Hmm.
The smarter people knew. But like the rest of us, we were tricked, we're the frog in water, and slowly boiling. Now it's boiling and we're hopping mad, and they're calling us, bigots and freaks.
Yeah, and now they're using lawfare against our strongest of men as well, where they're arresting. They're looking through old videos of like all these rallies from a couple years ago now, and picking up guys and throwing them in federal prison. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what all the charges are for rioting and stuff, like just for like the all the what do you call it? It wasn't just Charlottesville. It was like all the like Trump rallies and stuff. There's several white men in prison who might get like 10 years just because they got into a fight with Antifa, where Antifa started it, because these guys were defending themselves. But you're not allowed to do that anymore, white man. You're not allowed to defend yourself. You're not allowed to have a group where it's like a workout club, because now you're in a gang. That makes you a gang.
Rise above movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Psych Meth. Yeah. The
Mhm.
rise above movement is basically being,
Mhm.
it's being
Yeah.
the object of repression. And this
Right.
is Trump's freaking Justice Department
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So this is where I get really black pilled when I think about that. I'm like, this happened under his watch. He's not defending our guys. Like we've got guys out there that were out there defending him, and then he just looks away.
Yeah. Yeah. These guys are sitting in jail because
Yeah.
they took up the call,
I can't forgive that. I mean, that's the thing. Like I can't forgive Trump for not getting involved in any of this. I
Yeah.
mean, what was he just a setup from the beginning? I hate to be too paranoid, but
I
my
think
God,
he's
I mean, what is
I
it?
think he's no more complicated than he appears. He's basically a creature of the 80s.
Mhm.
He believes in a lot of this nonsense, a lot of
Mhm.
the paused out nonsense. He doesn't really, he's obviously not a socially conservative guy.
Mhm.
He doesn't care about the collapse of morals. And he kind of believes all their nonsense. But, he got a hold of this thing with immigration because it's common sense. He didn't know any better. He's really not the racist they make him out to be. He's really one
Right.
of them, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the
Yeah,
Dems couldn't have done any better than electing Trump there. I mean, they would have done worse with Hillary. He's given them a lot of what they want. So,
I guess Hillary would have been worse, right? She would have
I don't know.
Supreme Court nominations would have been
Well,
worse.
that would have been bad. Yeah.
And I want to say she probably would have got this big immigration reform, but maybe not. See, it might be better because it was like Obama and Bush before him. They both tried to do big immigration reform, and they couldn't get it done because grassroots opposition put some spine in the congressional Republicans. And Bush didn't get it, and Obama didn't get it. So maybe with Hillary, and she's the worst at running something like this, be like her healthcare fiasco all over again.
Mhm.
Maybe she would have had a big failure with immigration reform, and we'd be in a better spot right now than we are now, where we're getting this amnesty and everything else just by default as he fails. Ugh, black pill.
I know. Is she running again? Has she
Oh my
announced?
God, she might, huh?
Yeah.
She said she won't. She wants to.
Yeah.
It's got to be driving her crazy.
Oh boy.
I always want her to go up there again. I mean, what happened to her health problems?
Yeah, that's kind of fun. I mean, they're still there. They're
I
gonna
think they're
still
still there. I think she
Yeah.
still has some serious health issues that she's not talking about. She's just getting older.
Mhm. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I don't know how vocal I'm gonna be this go around. I think I'm gonna lay low.
We need to run Eki for president. Are you going to run
Yeah.
Eki? Trying to
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the question. What was
Oh,
it?
are you running? Can we run you for president?
Can I put your name in for nomination?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'll get at least 24 votes. It'd be
Mhm.
great.
Yeah. You need a platform.
Mhm.
Eke and no banks.
Yeah.
Eke, are you gonna get out of Southern California, or are you stuck there for now?
I'm stuck for now, but I'm getting the fuck out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
This place is scary, dude.
Yeah, well, I left there in 2015. I was there a good 20 years. So I saw it. And it just got to be too much after a while. You get used to it. I'm sure you just live your life, you get used to it. But when you get a chance to get out for a little while, you realize like you don't need to live like that. You don't need to be there.
Yeah, dude, I went to Big Bear
Oh, nice.
like a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
and it was gorgeous. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah. That's how I feel in Idaho. Like it was snowing. If we finally had a really good snow today, which melted by the afternoon, but it was pretty good snow, and I felt like, yes, this is where I want to be. Like just
Jealous,
kind
dude.
of out in the country a little bit in the snow, no
Oh,
problems. Yeah.
here's the funny thing. When I went to Big Bear, the buildings were built in the early 1900s, and they were refurbished like in the 30s or 40s or something. And I don't know if anyone else, I'm sure you, Holly, have some inkling of this, but there's a smell to buildings that were built during that time period.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know what the hell it is,
Yeah.
but there's something about it. There's just a
Right.
distinct smell to them. And when I was a kid, I grew up in buildings of that kind.
Mm.
And when I went to Big Bear, the smell of the buildings, I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking home. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdest thing ever. So I was just like in some out of the way, relative to Los Angeles, I was in some out of the way place where the buildings were familiar. I recognized the architecture, I recognized the design sense,
Mhm.
and it was fantastic. And I didn't want to come back at all.
No, I know the feeling. It's this life outside of LA, which I might be back there next month. So
Oh
if
no.
I am, I'll look you up. Maybe we can have coffee. I'll be in Orange County if I have to come back, because I might have to attend a hearing in person. So
Oh God, I'm
if I am,
sorry.
I know I don't really want to spend the money on the plane ticket, and the hotel and the car and the whole thing, but I may. So I'll let you know
Yeah.
if
Well,
it's March.
no, if you do, for some reason, come out to Orange County, I'm not too far off. I'd love to say hello. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll
look
let
me
you
up.
know.
But oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, I keep thinking about, and I'm serious when I say this. I keep thinking about just not even saving up, not even planning, like
Mhm.
literally just fleeing. Like refugee status, just being like, look, I need a fucking sponsor. I need to get the hell out of here and just go.
Mhm. I kind of did that when I left. I just kind of up and left. I was ready though.
Because it's like, I don't know. There are days when it's not so bad. There are little tiny moments here and there where I have a great time,
Mhm.
and it's nice. There are little oases here and there in Los Angeles where if you know where to go
Mhm.
and if you know the people, excuse me, sorry,
Yeah.
you can actually have a pretty decent time.
Mhm.
You can just have a nice little kickback and chill out with some buds, and
Mhm.
that's it. The problem with that is that I find that it's not only increasingly difficult to find those people, partly because they're leaving.
Mhm. True.
The other is that, like, I've watched people get demoralized
Mhm.
in real time. There's a girl that I know, well, a woman now, but at the time she was a girl, and yeah, I watched her go through the entire roasty experience,
Oh God.
and now she's she's incapable of pair bonding. She's incapable of anything at all.
Mhm.
And she lives a complete, she used to be, I don't want to say a party animal. She wasn't exactly a party animal, but she was very gregarious and outgoing and whatnot. And she was a personal favorite of mine. I still like her. I'm still in contact with her. But it's such a bummer to watch this all happen.
Yeah.
To watch your buddies go from being extroverts to not merely introverts, but borderline hermits. She's as bad as I am.
Yeah.
I'm a hermit, and that's not good, and I know that. But I've had my whole life, for reasons, to be a hermit, as where she was not. She didn't have the restrictions that I had, and so she was able to go out, and then just I don't know, flick of a light switch. Just 1 year, I think it was back in 2016.
Mhm.
She just turned into a hermit. She just out of nowhere. Like the only times that I see her and talk to her now are when I go and talk to her, and that's it. It's like, God damn it, what a bummer.
Yeah.
And I see this all over the place, all over
Well,
the place.
isn't it funny that there's millions of people there, but people are so lonely? Because I actually here, I know my neighbors. I never knew a single neighbor for the most of the time that I lived in LA. When I lived in
Yeah,
like big apartment complexes, like I wouldn't know my. I would see them come and go. We might say hello. I didn't know their name. And until I moved to Idaho. Now, like, I know all the neighbors around here because it's just a different culture and there's not as many people. But yeah, that's the thing about a big city. It's all those people, but everybody's lonely.
yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, do you still ride your bike at all?
No, no, I don't.
Did you ever go down to did you ever ride around Malaga Cove? Rancho
Where?
Palos Verdes?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I did a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because it's relative to where I am. That's a
Mhm.
real ride. That's an
Mhm.
actual ride.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good when you were talking about like places to go that are nice. That's a good ride. If you ride down there, it's a beautiful, beautiful scenery and
Yeah. The last or when I went on that ride, I was just blowing through, just straight ahead hammer time. It was
mhm,
great, and the way that the bike path goes from El Segundo down to that area, you end up going through a neighborhood. The bike path goes through a neighborhood.
mhm.
So the bike path suddenly turns into regular streets
Right,
out of
right.
nowhere.
Yeah.
And on those streets are stop signs and a
Ah,
freaking rookie cop, some rookie freaking greenhorn, got me, and he cited me for blowing a stop sign. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to do that ride a little bit with the group I rode. I don't have here is the ocean to ride by.
Yeah, that's the only thing, because I'm still looking at Montana and Idaho are my two big picks, but I'm also thinking about like Maine, Vermont, that area. And the reason is because the founding stock is closer to British and Scott ancestry. So it's a little bit closer to where I am genetically, the Northeast. So I like the idea of Idaho a lot, because I've noticed that there are a lot of like-minded people in Idaho.
Well, you better get here before they keep pumping in the Nigerians and Somalis, because we're getting a lot of those.
Oh my God.
Dude, no, I've noticed. Because I'm sure that you're aware of this. In Yucca, there was that little thing that happened where I think they were Nigerians, or were they Tanzanians?
I mean, in Kuna, where the woman was raped.
Oh, Kuna. I thought it was Yucca. That's weird. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, in Kuna. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And that's only just a drive away from Boise.
Yeah.
And then the next major town, I think, to the east is city is Twin Falls or something.
Correct. Yeah, Twin Falls.
Yeah, and back in like 2016, there was that incident where like three Muslim immigrants, they raped a freaking 10-year-old or whatever.
I forget how old she was. She was a child, maybe
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, but I think they were teenagers too.
Yes,
Not that it makes it any better, but and
like 14,
they
15 years old.
and they peed on her.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
I mean, think about, anyway, yes, I get it. And this is one of the reasons, well, whatever. I've got like 7 different thoughts going through my head at the same time. I like the concept of Idaho because it's Pacific Northwest. It's relatively close. The culture of the people would be comparatively close to where I am, because I grew up in SoCal. So, while I do understand that we're still talking about traversing thousands of fucking miles, I get it. It's not the same at all. I understand that. But there is a slight overlap relative to the northeast of Maine and Vermont, where there's an entire continent between me and those people. And it's a different culture completely and utterly. I don't think that I would fit in with the Maine Vermont crowd, which is unfortunate because they're closer to me on a genetic level. As far as I know, the people in Idaho and Montana are going to be more Germanic, so they're not going to be quite the same.
Yeah, I've never been to New England, so I have no idea what it's like over there.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot more genteel types out in that area. Out here in the western states, it's a little bit more rough and tumble, just a touch. That's the experience that I've seen, or that's the experiences that I've had, where I don't know why, but for some reason the people on the East Coast, they're just a touch more subdued, as for people on the West Coast, they're a little bit more, they're ready to be rowdy, basically. And I think that going to Idaho, I would encounter a little bit more of that. And I that's fine for me. That's fine. Like I say, the only consideration is on a genetic level. I would prefer to be around people that are closer to me genetically. So.
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
White is close enough.
Yeah, white is close enough. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose I'd probably be closer to the New Englanders as well, because I'm like mostly English and Irish. But Like probably 75% is English and Irish, and the rest is a mix of like German and French.
American Indian.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
no, I don't. I'm 100% European. But yeah, so I have Scandinavian, but yeah, the majority is English and Irish.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I've got well, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. But anyway, coming all the way back to going from Los Angeles to freaking Idaho, I'm a big fan of getting out of Los Angeles, even though I understand that if I were to do it now, it would be borderline refugee status.
Yeah.
Just flee, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that I'm of that mindset at the moment is because I've just been looking at the political landscape, and I'm not 100% convinced, but there's a part of me that really does think that we're going to see a socialist push here in America. And I think that it's going to essentially come down to how much the non-socialists are going to push back. Are we going to just allow it to all happen or not? Essentially, is the idea in my head right now.
Yeah.
And I think that there are enough people that have been primed for this pump that we could see a successful socialist push.
I think you're probably right. I was just reading today on some lefty Facebook pages, them trotting this thing out too about, the socialist countries that are the happiest in the world. Of course, they were referring to like Denmark and things like that. But of course, they never mention that those countries are 90% white, and they don't realize the connection. And they also don't mention that these countries have 5 million people in them. Like it's a whole different world to have, at that point, at 5 to 9 million people, you're in a homogenous country, you're pretty much all cousins at that point. You're distant cousins. I mean, that's your family. So people behave differently towards people that are genetically that close to them, right? When you have a mix of people that hate each other and it's 300 some million people, you can't have that socialist utopia.
They used to suggest that in a heterogeneous society, nobody's going to want to vote for social programs because of that.
Yeah.
But you see what they're doing now, though. The socialists are just going to take over. It's all the
Right.
Gibbs. They're just offering Gibbs, so doesn't matter. Plus, it's Whitey that's getting taxed still the most.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're looting us at the same time that they humiliate us and admonish us and slander us over and over again. They're busy looting everything, just taking money out of the public person, and demanding bigger pieces of every movie roles and everything else. It's just nuts.
Yeah, I think hey, I see Claire Caw is now in the chat. So hey Claire, Dea's fault. Yeah, I think the funny thing about the looting and the humiliation thing is that at some point, I mean, if you do that to enough people for a long enough period of time, they're gonna say fuck off.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just wonder to myself, we do have a situation where there are a lot of people that are primed for socialism, and at the same time, because of the bifurcation, like I used to be a prog, I used to be down the line D voter, and like a halibut, I just changed morphologically. And I think that the change that I underwent, I think that we're going to see a lot of that just in general. I think we're going to see that across the country. So there's going to be a percentage of the population that's primed for socialism, and at the same time, there's going to be a percentage of people that are naturally resistant, and also a percentage like me that were flipped. And I
Is it
am now so anti-communist
I know.
that I'm getting a freaking rifle, like
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
anti-communist I am. So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen. Just imagine an entire, like, city of people, like, because when you think about, just, distribution,
Mhm.
I think that I occupy a slim fraction of, the total population in terms of my general, disposition and, other general factors.
Mhm.
So I'm a tiny, 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 tiny sliver, but even still, I'm not gonna be alone. There's gonna be a lot of me. So just imagine for a moment a township of people like me, and of course distributed across the entire country, clearly. But just imagine a township of people like me that are so hostile to communism that
Mhm.
we're willing to take up arms should the need arise.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, do you think that there's gonna be like a sudden wake up, like a white panic when they realize like how bad it is? Because like I had kind of a sharp wake up call after the elections when I saw Antifa burning down, what was it, Berkeley, when Milo Yiannopoulos was going to speak, because I
Yeah, yeah,
honestly didn't think things were that bad. And when I saw that, I was like, son of a bitch, the commies are trying to ruin this country. And I had kind of forgotten about commies. I grew up in the 80s where we thought about commies back then. And then somewhere in the night, I mean, after the wall came down, in 89, kind of forgot about the commies,
yeah,
a little bit. And then when this happened, I was like, wow, the commies are real,
yeah,
and I was like, I just thought, my goodness, I hadn't realized that it had gotten that bad to where they're burning shit down and don't want free speech.
yeah. No, I
So,
was, I was in the same boat, and that's one of the reasons why I am where I am now.
mhm.
Just imagine me being so anti-communist that I painted my face in a manner similar to Dennis Dale, except it was, anti-commie.
Why do people keep saying that? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically where I am now. And
We'll paint our faces blue next time, like
yeah.
Braveheart, dude.
Uh, because I also had kind of one of those panic experiences that you're talking about. I mean, maybe it's possible. I rather, because my experience did involve a kind of panic. I've seen people go through the red pill phase and go from being just like a regular normal person to just getting like angry, like
Mhm.
really, really angry. Um, and for me, it was a combination of panic and anger and several other things all going on at the same time. Incredulity. What is that feeling of betrayal and whatnot?
Mhm.
All of it, the whole rigmarole. It's a real roller coaster to go through.
Mhm.
And I think that when people catch on, they'll those who are smart enough to really see the future, see possible futures, I think there will be panic in those people. And this is why when I talk about just using my own, because I can't use other people as an example, but just using myself as an example, I do think that there will be a panic. And one of the things that I keep thinking about, and I got this from one of the guys that I used to chit chat with a lot on my channel last year, Sin 526, I think,
Yeah.
and he talked about like the red pill rage.
Mhm.
And the red pill rage was, you just get super upset and then you're ready to go out and do shit.
Yeah.
And he had this idea that if we could give people a path, uh, kind of like when you pour water down the side of a hill, if you can carve a path for that water, you can direct the natural flow of that water. So just imagine that water as anger or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
And if you can give that water a path, to go down that is a combination of as nonviolent as possible and also something that yields just beneficial patterns in general, then it's not so bad. Then that red pill rage can actually be used to society's benefit.
Yeah. Well, we have to be the ones who create that, because otherwise Jordan Peterson's gonna snap him up, because that's his job, to catch those guys. That's what he does. Like, he's right there because it's like people know that this is brewing, and so he's there to catch the young guys. And he even brags about that. He's like that he caught so many before they fell into the alt-right.
He's the catch.
Dude, there's a guy that I met. He worked at a local shop that I used to frequent, and he was like, I talked with him about like firearm stuff, like the firearm rights being under threat in Los Angeles and all this. And we had these rather intense conversations, and he would look to the side and he would speak quietly, and he would sort of huddle in close to me so that he could tell me what was on his mind and whatnot in a sort of hushed and low voice. And I went to go and see him a couple months ago, and the staff, they said that he didn't work there anymore, and they gave me this peculiar look. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out why they were giving me this look. And then it hit me out of nowhere. When I was talking with him some months ago, God, I wish I could find his number. When I was talking with him some months ago, he was talking about Western civilization. He was going on about Western civilization, and he started talking about Jordan Peterson. And this is back when I first realized that Jordan Peterson was likely a shill. Before I went full bore and just decided that he was basically controlled up. But this guy that I was interacting with at this particular shop, he was talking at the time about Jordan B. Peterson before he quit. And then after he quit, when I made mention, I got sideways glances and I got raised eyebrows when I mentioned his name. I think he went the alt-right route, and I think that the staff, they were dismayed about it. That's what I think happened.
Well, it's an inevitable progression. If you keep looking, that you end up there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I used to listen to Carl of Akkad and Milo Yiannopoulos. I went to one of those Milo shows, the one where the girl, she threw the trash can and she screamed.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see
concrete. I was there. Her buddy.
How bad did they get? Did they almost riot?
No, but they were pretty fucking creepy. Okay, so that girl that threw the trash can, her buddy filmed me while I was there in the crowd.
Oh boy!
I mean, like right up to my face, like on my fucking face. She was filming me.
Why? What were you getting into it with people?
No, the way that it went down was the SJWs, they were blocking the main entrance, and the cops, they couldn't let people in for one reason or another.
Okay.
So the way that they got people into the venue was while all of the SJWs were distracted at the main entrance, somebody went through the side, and there's this big fucking long line, huge, like scores of people. And I was in the 2/3 area to the back. And we saw like a couple of guys in red hats look at the crowd of us, and they had a very like low-key look about them, and they motioned us with their hands, and you wave someone to come near to you, and they waved in a very quick and flippant manner, and the entire crowd, like everyone's ears perked up at the exact same moment, and everyone somehow caught on. This is our cue to get in right now. And so they're just out of nowhere, a fucking mad dash came to happen, manifested. And I was a part of that mad dash. And so we all just ran to get to the side entrance before the SJWs realized that they had unintentionally allowed a window for everyone to get into the venue. So as we were all bolting to get into the side entrance, there were a couple of SJWs that, by happenstance were there and in between us and the entrance. And they were trying to use their bodies. And it's the weirdest, they had the dumbest grimace on their face. Like they were embarrassed by what they were doing. And they were generally displeased, but it was a grimace that bordered on a standard smile. It was really weird. And as we were rushing past them, and there were these poor little fucking 90-pound girls. There are these little kids, basically, college students, no more than like 19 years old or whatever. Rag dolls, just rag dolls, physically speaking. And so we just rushed past them, and that was that. And when we got inside, I was saying, because I went with a buddy, when we got inside, me and my buddy, we started talking about how we felt bad that as we were running past these poor kids that, they're getting kind of tussled about. And even though they're SJWs and they're horrible people in terms of their actions, no one meant them any harm. And it was kind of a shame that they were in a position where, they were getting a little bit roughed up.
But they were.
And that's when.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, but no, that's when the chick, she got her camera and she had, eyes of fury as she was filming me, like she caught me in something.
I just cannot imagine not letting people in to see a speaker that they wanted to see. Like, I was in college in the late 80s, early 90s, and things were political on campus, but nobody did that. People would protest things and make noise about it, but nobody would like block your entrance to something.
Yeah.
So when did that really start happening to where it's like the heckler's veto thing where they just don't let people go in and don't let people speak? When would that, because I only noticed it with the Milo thing. I really wasn't paying much attention.
I would say right around then. Yeah.
Okay.
Trump broke everything, right? When Trump came along, it was like, we can't even let Milo, a degenerate Milo, right?
Yeah. A side note, by the way, John Miller asks at UCLA. Yes, that was at UCLA. That was the one. But yeah, basically the deplatforming was right around the Trump thing. I think they had it in their head beforehand, but that's when it really started to kick into full swing. So, and you have to look at it from their standpoint in order for it to make any sense whatsoever. And from their standpoint, they are hashtag bashing the fash. They're imagining that they are in pre-Nazi Germany. That's how they think.
Yeah.
They think that anyone disagrees with them is a Nazi. And the old thing that we thought about back in the 1980s. What would you do if you could go back in time
right.
and kill Hitler? What would you do? That's where they are.
Yeah.
No, and they think that they think Hitler's everywhere. And
yeah.
If you're going to get somebody's going to kill somebody and say, "I did it. I killed the baby Hitler."
Yeah.
Right. Maybe that's why they're all for abortion after the birth right now, right? They're all potential baby Hitlers, right? So
yeah.
Disgusting thing. Yeah, that's a whole other thing too with this. Like they're literally for abortion after they've already given birth. Like how is that possible?
We're in straight ahead Sodom Gomorrah territory.
Yeah.
I'm not joking when I say this. I think that we are nearing something that is going to become apocalyptic. And
it's weird. Is that one of the bad things about the Nazis, supposedly, that they practice euthanization, right?
Yeah.
And this whole Ralph Northam's controversy was over the fact that what he basically said with those comments was that if a baby's born with birth defects, we can kill it, or
Okay, so is that?
Yeah, it's basically what he said. And wait a minute, did we ever discuss that? I thought that was wrong, right? But no, the woman chose. Of course, it's worse than that because they're talking about a woman's mental health, which basically means I can't be troubled with a kid, mental health issue. Oh, it's scary.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Dick.
No, for sure. No, there's a lot going on right now. And anyway, yeah, basically, I do think that when you put all of these weird things together, there are so many different battle lines. You know, you've got the communists versus the anti-communists, which is basically where I am. And then you've got the nationalists versus the internationalists, which overlaps a lot with where I am, by the way. You know, and then there's like all these weird like 1488ers where they're like, yeah, we're going to do the race war or whatever. It's like, well, that you know, in a free-for-all situation, that could totally happen. I mean, there's just so many different battle lines that are being drawn around me. You know, it's like, holy shit. You know, the anti-feminists versus the feminists. And yeah, again, you know, there are lots of overlaps between the various groups, but the problem is that within the left, they're going to start eating each other. So there's going to be battle lines, like blood battle lines within the left when you consider the, the classical liberals versus the Muslims or whatever. There's going to be, or even the allies, you know, the white allies and the blacks. Blacks fucking hate the white allies.
Yeah. The white allies don't care though. They eat it up. They're masochists, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The more they're hated, the better they feel. It's like Jared Taylor said something about like they love to feel good about feeling bad about themselves.
Yeah.
It really is something to ethnomasochism.
Right. Yeah. Did you read? I forget where. I think it was a German politician that said somebody asked her about. Well, what about how these Muslim men mistreat women? And she's like, oh. We're just gonna have to deal with that for the sake of diversity. So even though she's a feminist, yeah, so she's a feminist, but she's like, and then someone said, well, but these Muslim men don't adhere to this feminism. They treat the women like, you know, like they come in here and they treat these German women badly. And she's like, well, you know what? Like basically, she's saying that, well, we're just gonna have to suck it up for the sake of diversity. And I'm like, so that's an interesting choice.
Diversity.
So okay, so literally, she's genuinely saying, unabashed, straight-faced, she is saying it is not okay for a white man to hit someone, but it is okay for a brown man to hit someone.
Well, it's their culture, and you know, for the sake of diversity, it's worth it, I guess.
I would probably backhand her by reflex action and just be like, yeah, deal with it. That's your fucking diversity.
But I mean,
I'm a Muslim.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To be so brainwashed about this whole diversity benefit, like how can it boggles my mind.
Yeah, how did diversity get its privileged place? You know, I
don't know. It just became a thing where like now
repetition.
You can't.
And it's so obviously not true that it's all strength. It's so obviously untrue.
Yeah.
Yet it persists.
Well, not only is it not true, but there's an academic study by some guy, lefty, in fact, who was horrified by, I think he's from Minnesota or Wisconsin. I can never remember which. And he was a lefty professor, and he actually did a study on whether or not diversity was a strength. And he found that it was not a strength, that it was in fact a liability. Mm-hmm. And he was so horrified by his finding that he didn't publish the paper for years.
Robert Putnam, yes.
Yeah.
That was something that this guy should have been shamed for. This should have been a serious scandal for him. You know.
Well, okay, so that paper that I linked earlier in the chat, or that you linked earlier in the chat, that one that's about whether or not it is adaptive to sacrifice yourself for your ethne, for your racial group. It's basic. That entire paper is borderline a straight-faced advocacy for 1488 blood and soil. When you put that together with the Robert Putnam one, basically what they're saying is that on an evolutionary level, straight ahead alt-right is the only way to go. I mean, that's a hell of a thing. And these are peer-reviewed academic people we're talking about. I mean, when you actually put that together, it's like, holy shit, it's an ironclad fucking case. And I'm saying this as a person who is, a former regular liberal. I still say this because it's worth saying. I am paused. I grew up where I grew up, but at the same time, it's like, well, the science doesn't support my overall mindset and disposition.
Well, I mean, and not just the science, but like you can tell at some point this is just pure propaganda, because it's like you can see with your own two eyes, and even as you're looking at what you're seeing, they're telling you that's not what it is, like
Yeah.
and that's like, it's like, what's that expression, like, you're gonna believe me or your lying eyes, it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm at some point, an honest person has to say, I actually believe my eyes because they're telling me the truth.
Yeah.
This doesn't work how they say it does. People can believe in it, but it's like at some point this idea just breaks down. I mean, where is diversity a strength? When you ask people to list, okay, where is it a strength? You all know the meme. The only thing people can come up with is a wide array of restaurants, right? That's the only thing that anyone can come up with. There's literally nothing else positive. It's all negative. It's conflict.
And actually, ethnic diversity actually destroys good diversity, like diversity of opinion in schools, right? Where you used to have diversity of ideas and opinions. It's actually ethnic diversity is crowding it out because there's too many people to be offended. Yeah.
And then communities aren't like they used to be either, because there's been studies about this too. It's like, well, people won't participate in community activities like neighborhood activities because they don't really feel close to those people.
Dude, so I'm involved with a local community group right now, and they're almost all white people. The only non-whites are fellow whites. That's it. So I live in a city that has a replacement population, and the replacement population doesn't give a flying fuck about any of the neighborhood programs.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Putnam found not only do the different ethnicities obviously not get together and volunteer, within your own group of whites, people hunker down and stop volunteering. This hunker down mentality takes over everywhere. And plus, white people are the great volunteers. Americans especially. In Putnam's book, Bowling Alone, he begins with this. He talks about how we had this explosion of organizations and volunteerism right up until what hit the fan, and racial diversity blew it all away. But yeah, I mean, and Mexicans. I grew up around Mexicans. They're good people. They don't volunteer for stuff, right? They're not altruistic. They're not that kind of people. We know black people are never going to lift a hand for other people. They'll only get worked up for their own causes. WASPs are the great altruist volunteers of the world.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, we keep our neighborhoods clean, our cities clean, our countries clean. And people who come from places that are literal shitholes where they don't even clean up after themselves. How can you even expect them, if they don't even care about their own place? How do you expect them to care about yours? It's a ridiculous idea that they're going to come across the border and just immediately have the same standards that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, I have a distinct memory of one time I was at a job, and the weirdest thing happened. Some switch was flipped in my head. It was very strange. I was watching these guys, just douchebags, walking down the street. I was on the clock. I was inside of a building, and these douchebags were walking down the street, and one of them had a soda pop. He put the soda pop down on a window, and they just kept walking. And the idea was that he was gonna litter. The soda pop was just gonna be left on the windowsill, and it was on the outside of the building. And I don't know why, just some weird thing came over me. I hopped up out of the building, out of the window, so that I could grab the soda pop, run up to the guy, and say, "Here, you left this." And he didn't know what to do. His friend didn't know what to do. And the idea was that you throw your shit away, buddy. And yeah, it was retarded. It was silly, but the point was made. He did actually throw it away.
Mhm.
But it's like, that's what I used to be like. Like, that's like social justice warrior crazy. That's actually kind of nuts, when you think about it.
But no, but I mean, you're enforcing a certain standard,
Yeah.
we don't want our place to look like hell, and,
Yeah.
that's you wanna live here, this is how you gotta do it.
Well, but now, so many years later, like, I see there is so much garbage everywhere that it's like, it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
I would have to do that same ridiculous thing like 1,000 times a
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
and it would overwhelm my life to the point where I wouldn't have the ability to do anything because there's an overwhelming amount of garbage.
That's why little towns are really great because they're not dirty,
Yeah,
I don't miss that of the big city. It's like it's nice to walk down the streets that are clean, and I don't know, it makes you feel good.
dude.
You know?
Here there are a couple of homeless encampments where it's so bad that the garbage has to be taken away
Mhm.
with a miniature bulldozer.
Oh god.
Like,
Ugh.
they have to have guys in well, they haven't gone hazmat suit yet, but they're really close to it. Yeah, and it's like they're gonna start having to power wash the fucking sidewalk.
I'm sure. What's going on with San Francisco and, the poo problem there? Do they still have that problem?
Well, yeah, and it's coming up here now,
Oh god.
right? Okay, so behind my building, there's a little carport, and not but feet away from my car were human fucking feces.
Ugh.
So it's already happening
Mhm.
right here, and the homeless population here in Los Angeles, in downtown Los Angeles, the homeless population, they're having problems with typhoid.
Oh my God.
So the typhoid problem, it's going to be something that's amongst the homeless population. It would take nothing for the encampment that's near me. It would take nothing for that encampment to get fucking typhoid, and for one of those guys to just wander around
Mhm.
in my alley, and then boom, plop one, boom. Now my neighbor's got fucking typhoid. I could get typhoid. And that's horrifying.
Ah, Eki, get out of there.
Yeah. No, I know.
We'll have to rescue you.
Dude, when I talk about, fleeing Los Angeles as a refugee, like, it sounds like a joke when I say it,
Yeah, yeah.
but
No, seriously, no, we're gonna have to send some guys in to, like, just, helicopter in and, like, pull you out and get you to safety.
yeah.
Fly you up to Montana somewhere. Yeah.
I saw a guy downtown Portland the other day standing. I was driving past and he was standing at the corner waiting to cross. He was shooting up, standing there on the corner. I'm like, what's he doing? He's down there. He had to be shooting up because it's
Oh
just like
god.
the way he was doing it. Yeah, that's how bad it is here.
Mhm.
It's funny too. They really work hard to keep the city clean, and it is a clean city, except for the fact that downtown they do nothing about the homeless, so they just wander around. It's
Yeah,
really horrible.
dude. One of my neighbors said she found a freaking needle
Mhm.
in the alley. A fucking needle.
Oh
Like,
yeah, they're everywhere downtown.
yeah,
It's not a big deal.
You
I
can't
don't like that, man.
can't raise kids in that kind of environment.
And
Ugh.
the potential for a city like Portland, if you just didn't mess it up with these policies, but
Mhm.
it's going to get worse here too because they don't have the city government here. They've got a weak mayor, and they've got basically the commissioners are they're like 5 commissioners and a mayor. It's basically like the 6th commissioner. They have a lot of power, and it's so progressive that they've got 3 just hardcore lefty progressive commissioners, and the other 2 or 3 are practically as bad. So we'll see. Portland's a test case.
There's also another fun thing about raising kids, apart from just the drug issue, which is imagine raising a kid a white kid in a progressive town where the entire population is being taught to hate white people.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would mean that you are exposing your children to bigotry against them.
Mhm.
And I think that it's going to start manifesting as physical violence. Back when I was young, I was I was in middle school. It was during the '92 riots, and I was white in a school that was largely non-white. I was one of like 2 blonde kids, and I knew the other blonde kid.
Mhm.
And the Mexican kids, they hated me, and it was so bad that I stopped going.
Ugh.
So that was in '92. That was back when it was still okay to be white.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now imagine it.
Not nearly as far gone.
Well, I seem to see a lot of these videos beating up white kids on world
Yeah.
star hip hop, and not just in America, but like in Europe as well. You know, the immigrant kids picking out like one white kid,
Yeah.
and I just think, these parents that send their kids to these schools, it's like I know it's probably difficult to homeschool because you probably have both people working, but like you got to just downsize your expenses there. Like
Right.
you got to prioritize your child, whatever it is you need to do, move out to the country, live on one income, whatever. I couldn't, I mean, I don't have kids, but if I did, there's no way I would subject them to that.
It's child abuse.
Yes, it absolutely is.
I especially don't know why you'd send your daughter to one of these schools.
Oh no.
So she could get harassed. Yeah. I mean, you have to not care about your children, I think.
Or they just think it's good for them or
They
something like,
just
oh,
back it
you'll learn, what it's like for them. It's like, no.
I'd like to know what it's like to be able to walk around and beat people up at
Yeah.
will and not get in trouble for it. Yeah, I want to know what that's like. Thank you.
Yeah. Like we never
Yeah.
even consider that. Like, I mean, it just, I think when I was in grade school, I grew up in a town of 7,000 people. Okay. When I was in grade school, there was one black guy. He never got harassed. He never got
Of
called
course not.
racial slurs. Everybody liked him. He was actually kind of popular. He was kind of nerdy, but popular. He had his little group of friends, and like nobody harassed him or beat him up.
Yeah. My school was like 70-30 white and Hispanic. 1 or 2 black kids in any given year.
Mm-hmm.
Never any problem for those
Right.
guys.
Of course
Yeah.
not.
I remember the kid, he was a jock. He was one of the jocks, and that's what
Yeah.
he did. I remember another kid, he was a nerd, and
Mm-hmm.
he hung out with nerds. And yeah, it's so ridiculous to talk about these people as vulnerable. This word, I want to kill somebody when I hear them say that they're vulnerable, or anything but that.
Yeah.
Jewel Citizen says I should go downtown right now in my, apparently he thinks it's sort of costume, but
Yeah. What is Joel talking about? He's not wearing a costume.
yeah.
That's just his face. You just didn't notice before because you're
Ah,
colorblind.
Jewel. Awkward.
Yeah. He's looked like this the entire time.
It'd be funny if my black neighbor came to the door and I forgot. Totally forgot.
Don't forget
We
to
have
wash
this whole weird conversation. I go, wait, what's wrong with him?
Well, I have one of these ladies with their skincare, right? Like we have these masks that we put on for our skincare, and one of them is made of charcoal and it is black. And if I do it, it looks just like you. But I will not show myself like that anywhere. There will be no pictures. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's probably not allowed, even though they understand. Yeah. Like you saw, they're calling out what? Mary Poppins. Because in Mary Poppins, Julie Andrews puts charcoal on her face to look like a chimney sweep.
Oh, did she?
And they are seriously having issues with it. Seriously.
Oh my goodness. Do they not understand what a chimney sweep is?
No, they get it. They understand that, it's not intentional and it's all that.
Huh?
And by the way, that's invoking chimney sweeps, right? White privilege, right? Chimney sweeps,
Oh.
when they used to send 13-year-old kids down
Sure.
chimneys
Yeah.
in London because, it's all been a big party for us white folks forever.
Yeah, when I was it 15, my first job, my first official job other than being a paper girl, delivering papers, was I worked in a place where I had to stand hip high in sewage and rescue these fish that had got stuck down the pipes and ended up
Wow.
in this sewage dump. How do you think that was in 110-degree heat, sitting,
Wow.
standing in? They give us these fishing boots to go down in that. That was for minimum wage back then, was like $3.35 an hour, and it's like, yeah, that was some white privilege, like standing in literal shit and piss to catch
Wow.
some fish. And the fish were more important than we were. We were there to conserve. It was for the conservation course, and we were there to conserve the fish and save the fish. So,
Meanwhile, you're getting deadly diseases,
oh
right? To
yeah,
save
we
a
were
few
getting.
trout.
Well, you get a net in there, and you catch the fish, and they're flopping all over the place. You go home covered in shit. That was my job. And if you ask why did you work there, well, because that's the only job I could get at 15, and I needed the money.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some white privilege. I just laugh at that whole idea of white privilege. It's hilarious to me, as if we haven't paid our way, or even if it wasn't this. Let's say that you were born semi-rich or upper middle class. You think that your grandparents or maybe great grandparents didn't pay? Somebody in our history did the groundwork, right? So if you are born with a little bit of money, you that's your inheritance. So what?
Yeah. I mean, somebody worked their ass out.
Yeah,
People sweated and died,
right.
literally worked themselves to a grave.
Hmm.
Yeah. Basically, that's what we're doing society wide. We're
Hmm.
squandering the patrimony, for some feels.
Well, we're giving away our birthrights.
Yeah.
We're handing them over to people who just got here and who don't deserve it, who didn't work for it, didn't put in, the
And they're
time.
just going to wreck it. They're just
Yeah.
going
Yeah. And then they're going to move on
to.
to the next thing. They're going to, I don't know who the next scapegoat's going to be after us if we don't win this, but there's always going to be some kind of scapegoat.
Yeah.
So
Well,
on that happy note.
yeah. I was thinking about concluding.
Yeah, it's late.
So glad Holly showed up tonight. Everybody is. I know. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I haven't talked to you in a while. I didn't know you're going to be in blackface, but that's okay.
Don't know what you people are saying. Somebody clue me in on this joke. Well, Eka is in blackface too. We just can't see him.
We just can't see him. He is always in blackface. That's how he gets into character, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, if no one has anything further, I guess we'll conclude.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. You're always welcome, of course.
Good.
Great talk.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Get more snow there.
It's going to be fun to see how this Jussie Smollett thing plays out over time.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe I'll do a stream tomorrow. I've got tomorrow off. Yeah, we'll be monitoring Juicy's situation. Yeah. All right. And good night to you as well, Luck X. Yeah, I guess he's away from the mic.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Holly.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Peace to all. Peace out.
Peace out.